Hey, what's up, guys? Thank you for joining me today. We're going to talk about Enneagram Type Sevens, something that I know a lot about because I myself am a seven. And we're going to look at this little book, The Enneagram Made Easy. We're going to talk about the stuff that I like about being a seven, the stuff that maybe is a frustration about being a seven. Every type has its superpowers, every type has some challenges or some kryptonite that we got to learn to deal with. And facing that is part of what being healthy is all about. Pushing back on those impulses and not letting them run your life, or you might say ruin your life. And so before we get started, just a reminder, in the description below is a link to my website, tomlahue.com. I do offer Enneagram coaching for yourself or as a couple. I do a lot of marriage coaching, and also I have some classes available, sometimes live classes, which there's one coming up right now, Mastering Enneagram Coaching. It starts this month on Zoom live. Check it out. Go to my website. Okay, so let's jump into this. This is just a little section here in this book that says what I like about being a seven, what I don't like about being a seven. If you have a seven in your life, maybe you have a child that's a seven, maybe one of your parents, or maybe you're married to or thinking about getting married to a seven. Here's some stuff that sevens would say they love about being a seven, and then stuff that they don't like. I know the rest of you are all jealous. You're like, oh wow, I wish I was a seven. They're so much fun. But the reality is it's not always fun in games. There's sometimes a underlying sadness to sevens. Think about the beginning of The Little Mermaid. Think about the beginning of The Nightmare Before Christmas. It starts with this melancholy blue longing for something more. Something's missing, and sometimes, sevens can look a little bipolar at times. Not the least to mention ADHD, which, yes. Okay, all right, so what do I like about being a seven? Well, the first thing it says is being optimistic and not letting life's troubles get me down. Now, I have a lot of information on my website and some of my, if you look at my books and my ebooks and all that, a lot of stuff on resilience. Resilience! When you get knocked down, you got to get back up again. Sounds like a song, right? Because resilience, I think, is important to sevens. And sometimes, maybe we don't necessarily want to experience the pain or the sadness or the grief when we do get knocked down. And so we hurry through that process. And I get it. That's got its own problems. We need to process, as they say in Canada. We need to process everything, process our feelings, and then, work through that, acknowledge them, process them, and then reconceptualize and move forward. But I think sevens naturally want to be resilient. We want to shake it off, and sevens probably should slow down and feel the pain a little bit more. But the rest of you guys maybe could learn something from us, that you got to get back up again. You got to get back out there. And let me just tell you, man, honestly, there's been many times in life where life has been hard, where life has been challenging. Things aren't going right in relationships, or things not going right with people I love with their health. We're not able to do all the things we want to do, or just in jobs or career. And I know what it's like to have setbacks. I know what it's like to be knocked down. I know what it's like to get frustrated and wonder if, things are going to work out. I get it. I really do. I understand. And that's maybe why I've spent so much time talking about resilience. If you go back a year ago or 2 years ago and look at my videos, there's a lot of stuff about resilience and getting back up and not letting, yourself get beat down and finding your purpose and moving forward. The struggle is real. And I think as sevens, we do pride ourselves on the fact that I don't let things bother me. I don't let myself stay down too long. I know how to get back up. I know how to stay optimistic. I know how to stay positive. I know how to try to look for the bright future. When sevens can't, when they have nothing to look forward to, they will get really dark and really discouraged, and maybe not even realize that you need counseling or you need help or you need coaching or something, because that positive outlook, you just tend to think it's going to get better. You may not realize, how dark you've gotten, or how depressed, or how close to despair you actually are. But as a general rule, sevens do love the fact that they're optimistic and positive. And if you are struggling with sadness or depression or something like that, go find a seven. Go find a seven. don't try to weigh them down with all of your feelings, but let them try to bring you up. Say, look, I've been down, I've been really discouraged, I'm not happy in my job, and I just need to have some fun. Could you take me out for a good time? That's what sevens love to do. Let me help you. Let me entertain you. Let me take you out for the evening and help you get your mind off of this. And is there any value to that? That's not solving problems, Tom. That doesn't solve my problem. Okay, when you can relax your mind and disengage from all of your problems for a while, it's amazing how much wisdom comes back to you and how much better able you are later to be able to face your problems. Sometimes you just need a break. Do you know when you need a break? Sometimes you need to just lighten up and you need a break. Okay, next is being spontaneous and free-spirited. I'm spontaneous, Tom. Yeah, I'd say sevens tend to be spontaneous and free-spirited. When you say, we should go get tacos, it's not unlikely to hear a seven say, oh, dude, you know what we should do? We should go get tacos in California. Let's drive across the country. Wouldn't that be awesome? And so sevens can always think of how we could make this a little bit better, a little bit more exciting, a little bit, oh, I know this place. It's an hour away, but it's so worth it. Road trip. And then, so spontaneous and free-spirited. Now, when you get a seven that's depressed, they're not going to be. They're going to be, fine, doesn't matter. I don't even care, whatever. It's not important. I can't do all the things I want to do. I'm stuck home babysitting the kids. It's fine. I don't even care. You'll see sevens suck all the joy and all the spontaneity and they'll be very heavy. But when things are going better, you'll see sevens tend to be very spontaneous and free-spirited. Okay, next is being outspoken and outrageous. It's part of the fun. A 3 might watch a 7 and think, wow, people really do appreciate that spontaneity and that lightheartedness. I think I need to imitate that. But 7s are not, thinking about it. We're just not thinking about it. We're just in the moment. Yeah, it's a risk. What if I do this thing and people think it's stupid? They probably will. I'm always surprised, guys. I'm always surprised when I do my normal antics and, I try to lighten the mood or whatever. I do something stupid and my wife looks at me and she's a 2-wing 1. Wing 1, heavy on the 1. And she looks at me and she's just like, oh. And I think, what? This isn't endearing? How is this not endearing? How does this not... But it doesn't always work. The magic doesn't always work on everybody. But as a general rule, 7s tend to be a little bit outrageous. They're out on the dance floor, because you only got one life. And honestly, we don't care as much about what people think. We're not 3s, we're not 2s, we're not 4s. We don't need a certain message back from everybody. They say, you're so weird. I used to hear that all the time growing up in middle school and high school. I didn't even know what I was doing. Honestly, I had no idea what I was doing. I mean, I was just doing stuff. I was just responding to my world. And there'd be three people around me laughing at everything I did, right? All the 9s, I loved them. They'd be laughing at everything I did. And then there'd be this one girl who's probably a 6 or a 3, and they'd turn around and they'd be like, oh my gosh, Tommy, you're so weird. And I would think, how am I weird? I know what weird kids are, right? Weird kids that collect spiders. Weird kids that are mating cockroaches in bottles or jars. I mean, I get weird, right? I understand what weird is, but I don't think I'm being weird. I think I'm being funny. Isn't it funny? Isn't it endearing? No. It's just coming across as weird or annoying or obnoxious. I think sometimes 7s, we can be blind at how obnoxious we can be. Especially you guys like me, ENFPs. ENFPs are probably the most obnoxious of all the types because we're extroverted, so we're in your phase. We're intuitive, and so we're thinking about what it could be like instead of the way it is. We're F, so we get our feelings hurt. And then we're P, we don't have a plan. And all of those are going to be obnoxious to the ISTJ, or, the people that are introverts, who are sensing, who are thinking, and who are judging. We're going to be obnoxious. And I think, most of us are okay with being a little obnoxious. Did you mean hobnoxious? You mean we're obnoxious like a typewriter in your soup is obnoxious, or obnoxious like a bear, stealing your camping supplies? What kind of obnoxious are we? And you're gonna see sevens trying to lighten the mood with nonsense like that, thinking that eventually I'll get you to laugh. Eventually I'll get you to lighten up. Oh, you're not lightening up. Looks like you're just getting angrier. I don't understand. Why is my magic not working here? Uh, can you see the ADHD? I'm not trying to be ADHD, but can you see it? Maybe you can see it. All right, being generous. Yes, I think a lot of times sevens are very generous. We got a lot of stuff. Let's first of all admit that we like to get stuff. We're interested in things. We're interested in stuff. And our sin is gluttony, so we're going to buy stuff we don't need. And then we have all this stuff, and we don't really feel a deep connection to a lot of it. We're more like curators of stuff. We're more like samplers of things. And then once we have all this stuff, we're like, yeah, I don't really care about all this stuff. So why don't I just give it to you, give it to you, give it to you? And sevens, we tend to want to make the world brighter. We tend to want to make people happy. We want our groups to be happy and content. And we don't want people to do without. I don't like to do without, so I don't want other people to do without. And I find something that's interesting, or I find something that I love, the first thing I'm going to do is share that. Oh, you should totally know about this. You should totally sign up for this. You should totally get one of these. Let me share this with you. Let me tell you about this thing. And sevens love to tell you about stuff. In fact, you might say we read books so that we have something to talk about, so we have something to tell people about. We love information, we love people, and we love putting the two things together. We love stuff and we love people, and so let me tell you about this stuff, or let me tell you about this experience, or let me tell you about this wonderful time that you can have. Okay, so generous, trying to make the world a better place. And I think better place like lighter, more lighthearted, more fun, more exciting, more loving, not necessarily like cleaning ditches. I'm not trying to make the world a better place like that, like going out and cleaning up ponds, going up and cleaning up lakes, going out and cleaning up roadsides. That's not necessarily how I want to make the world a better place. I will do that kind of stuff, but that's not, it's like go into an orphanage in, some faraway distant country and entertain these kids. Let them have a great week. Let them know they're loved. Let them know they're cared about. Let them know that there's people out there that can bring joy and happiness into a otherwise dark and kind of lonely world. That's very seven. Okay. This is all the good stuff. We're going to get to the bad stuff. This is the good stuff. What sevens like about being sevens. Having the guts to take risks and try exciting adventures. Yeah, most of the time. I think as I'm older, I'm less and less likely to do that kind of stuff. I think that's more like counterphobic 6 things. But sevens, we're not necessarily jumping out of planes because we want to face our fears. But it's more like, well, this sounds like fun. This would be a great time. I want to get myself in that picture. I want to get myself on the other side of the world in the back of the truck, with the goat. Get my picture. I did this thing. Last is having such varied interests and abilities. Yeah, I know how to play guitar. I know how to play piano. I can play the violin a little bit. I can even play the banjo a little bit. I'm not a master at any of these things, but I like them all a little bit. And sevens tend to be tinkerers. We tend to be Renaissance men. We tend to want to experience a lot of things. And stuff comes pretty naturally to us. We tend to believe the best about ourselves. Like, I can probably do this. I can probably learn how to do this. Let me see that again. Okay, yeah, I think I can do this. Let me try to understand it and simplify it, synthesize it. And I believe in myself and my ability that if I wanted to, and that's key right there, if I wanted to master it, I could. If I wanted to put in the time and discipline and effort, of course I could do this thing. So I'm going to get bored with it because I have that hard time focusing and staying with something. More about that later because it's going to turn into one of the things we don't like about ourselves. Let's start with that list. What's hard about being a 7? This isn't even on the list, but go back to that thing I said earlier where you think you're being funny and people are not perceiving you that way, where you think you're being endearing and people find you obnoxious, or they say, you're so weird. I think that stuff is a little bit hard for 7s because we don't see it ourselves. We think, no, this is funny. Or I wasn't trying to be rude, or I wasn't actually trying to hurt your feelings. when I said that you smell like a cow. I wasn't really trying to hurt your feelings. I just thought it was funny. I thought it would lighten the mood. I thought I could tell you something about yourself in a way that was lighthearted, that wouldn't hurt your feelings, but yet you would get the message that you need to bathe. Okay, it's because I care about you. All right, what's hard about being a 7? And you can see, guys, 7s, especially 7-wing 8s, 8-wing 7s, 3s, the assertive types, we could come across a little bit narcissistic to other people, a little bit self-referencing. Might say it that way. Okay, what's hard about being a 7? Not having enough time to do all the things. I want to go to the concert. I want to go to the movies. I want to go out to dinner. I want to invite people over and play games. I want to, there's a lot of things we could be doing. We could be on jet skis right now. We could be riding 4-wheelers through the desert. Like, we could be traveling around and experiencing things, exploring different countries, and time is running out and money's running out. Why are we sitting here at the house watching TV? Why are we sitting here doing nothing? What's our plan for this weekend? Oh, going to the doctor? Why are we stuck? And 7s, we hate that feeling of being stuck or being trapped. We can even have a hard time making plans because those plans feel restrictive. I don't know what I want to do at 6 o'clock tonight. I'm making plans. I need to make multiple plans with multiple options. And remember, the superpower of 7s is teleportation. So if I don't like this, I'll teleport away from it. And that can make it hard for 7s to be people of our word and to follow through on things because we don't know a better option might come along. What's a better option? Something more exciting, more fun, more stimulating, more entertaining, or more in line with what I want to do at that time. So plans can feel like restrictions. Calendars can feel like constraints. So I got to follow this calendar every Thursday. I got to go to work from 8 to 5. That feels restrictive. It's hard to accomplish stuff when you won't allow yourself to make real plans. And so sometimes 7s never really fully realize all that they could accomplish because they resist structure so much. Now, if you're a healthy 7, you've probably had to learn to accept structure. Like, your best friend is a calendar, a to-do list, and then you follow those things. Next is not completing the things that I start. Yeah, a lot of 7s, we struggle with this because we're not interested in it anymore. When we first learned about something, we were fascinated with it. It was new. It was exciting. We wanted to read everything. And so we're highly motivated for about a week, maybe 2 weeks, maybe a month. Highly motivated to learn and to do and to you become an expert in this. But then motivation gives way to discipline. And now it's not new, it's not fascinating, and now it feels like work and drudgery and discipline. So when you first sit down to an electric guitar, yeah, man, rock it out. Smoke on the water. But then if you actually want to master it, it's going to take time, attention, discipline, and work. And those things can feel like anathema to 7s. It feels like constraints. And so 7s tend to be really good at a lot of things, but not necessarily masters of anything because of this. Because at some point, whatever it is, it feels like work. And not that 7s don't like work, it just feels difficult. Let's say it that way. Because I think 7s, some of us really love to work. I love to work. But I don't necessarily like tedious, monotonous tasks. Think like accounting. Ooh, okay. All right. So not completing things I start. So 7s, we might have a lot of things we've started, and then you kind of look back and you feel a certain shame because you never really completed or you never finished the task and you've lost interest in it. And so you dump it off on somebody else and move on to the next big, grand, exciting idea. And this could hurt a lot of people because people line up behind us because we're excited and we motivate others and we persuade others, and then we could let them down when we're not really there to follow through on these grand ideas or these grand schemes that we begin. Wow, that's painful, isn't it? It calls you out. It does. I know it does. And if you love a 7, I'm sure you've felt this way before, where you lined up behind them because they were envisioning such a bright future going forward in this direction, only to realize that they've abandoned ship. And now you're just kind of out there by yourself wondering what happened to our fearless leader. And as sevens, you could have trouble in your career because you bounce around so much because you get discouraged when things get boring or tedious or when they start to feel like work. It's fun having a new job. It's fun meeting new people. It's exciting learning new skills. And you're good at it. You tend to be good at it. So you have this confidence and you have so much experience. But then when things start to settle down and it just becomes less exciting and routine and it just becomes tedious details, you're very likely to think, I don't know that I like this job. I don't know that this is for me. I don't know that this company is for me. And we tend to want to look over on the other side like, I want to be where the people are. It's better over there. I need to move to Arizona. I need to move to California. I need to move to... Last time we moved from Kentucky to Florida, about 10 years ago, I told my wife, I can't stay in Kentucky anymore. I love Kentucky. Kentucky's a wonderful place, but a beautiful place, and beautiful people. But I was like, I got to live in New York. I got to live in New York, Texas, California, or Florida. I got to live in one of those fun states. Although there's a lot of Texas that's just kind of like boring. Sorry, Texas. Okay, next. Not being able to profit from the benefits of specializing, not making a commitment to a career. Commitment. How do you feel about that word? Commitment. Are you ready to make a commitment? When sevens actually do commit to something, they probably mean it because we tend to fear commitment. Again, it feels like restraint because it is. It is a restraint. Whether that's marriage, whether that's a dominant relationship like marriage, or whether that's choosing a career path. Like, I want to keep my options open. How am I supposed to know what I want to specialize in school? I kind of like a lot of things. Can I get a major in 7 things in half the time? So not being able to benefit from, that long tenure in some career or in some subject. And that could be something that frustrates us about ourselves. Having a tendency to be ungrounded, getting lost in all of our plans and fantasies, dreams. Ungrounded means it's hard to actually come up with real plans because real plans are scary. Real plans require you to be somewhere at a certain time and stay there until it's finished. So real plans create an anxiety in sevens. Fantasies and dreams, man, I can live in that world. You want to brainstorm some ideas of what we could do? I could do that all day. But don't start writing this crap down because I don't want you to think that I intend on following through on all of this stuff. And see, that's where sevens start to have a hard time. Are you going to actually do these things? Are you going to put your feet on the ground and actually show up and make this happen? What do we need to purchase in order to make this event possible? What positions need to be filled? Who needs to be called? What emails, what cards, what calls need to go out in order to man these stations? See, that's where sevens start to like, somebody else will take care of that. There's going to be a fixer who comes along, probably a 1. This 1 or this 6, they're going to come along. They're going to make sure it all gets done. I'm more of a general idea guy. I'm more of a big idea person. But, we need to be able to do both things well. We got to be willing to put our feet on the ground and actually move things into action. Or else we just live in the clouds. Sexual sevens, living up in the clouds. Candyland, having a hard time making this idea a reality. Yeah, that's where it can be difficult. But sometimes we got to move beyond ideas and thoughts and possibilities into action and structure and schedules. And we got to be able to not resist that kind of work. That's growth. Hey, that's what growth could look like for us. Being willing to say, all right, we made a decision. First of all, we're going to do pony rides and we're going to rule out all the other 700 ideas I came up with. Cotton candy, ices, popcorn. What are we going to do at the carnival? We're going to do pony rides. Okay, now we got to figure out which provider are we going to call? How many ponies do we need? What time is it going to be? Who are our operators? And so we got to make a decision, and then we got to make schedules, and then we got to call and make sure the insurance. This is all the stuff that you lose us in that has to be done. And if we're going to if we're going to excel and we're going to be at the top of our game, we can't resist the stuff that feels like tedious, laborious details just because it's not pleasant. Well, how can we make it pleasant? How can we make it more enjoyable? All right, last one is feeling confined when I'm in a one-on-one relationship. So as sevens, just like you might bounce around in college majors or colleges, you might bounce around in careers, you could bounce around in relationships. Like you like Seinfeld. I think he's a type 1. I think Kramer's a 7, but I think Seinfeld's a type 1. But when I watch through that series, there's never a girl that's quite good enough for Jerry. He loves this one, but her hands are too big. He loves this one, but her feet are too big. He loves this one, but her breath smells bad. He loves this one, but her hair's too curly. He loves this one, but she's got a weird tic or mannerism. And it's kind of like that with sevens. Like, if I settle down and commit to this one person, what happens if I don't like them later on? I'm going to feel stuck. I'm going to feel trapped. I don't want to feel stuck or trapped, and I might be missing out. That song, a little bit of Monica, da da da, a little bit of, I don't even remember the words, but you know what I'm talking about, right? Where it's like all these girls, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this. Or remember, go way back before even I was born to the, I'm the type of guy who doesn't like to settle down. They call me a wanderer. A little bit of rosy on my cheek and a little, whatever. I just wander. And as sevens, you could wander through life. And let's just say that's not necessarily the best way to experience life. I can just tell you this, guys. I've been married. My wife and I have been married for over 30 years. We met in high school. Hey, by the way, look, I've got a picture of her from 1987, 88 from Olin Mills. Look at my wife when she was, 16. I don't know if you can see that. Look at that. Look at the hair. Bon Jovi kind of hair. That's my wife, Tracy. She is beautiful. And anyway, always been beautiful. But so I can tell you this, we've had 5 kids. We've got 6 grandkids now. Man, I wouldn't trade this for anything. I've never been a perfect husband. I've never been a perfect dad, but I've been a faithful husband, a faithful dad, faithful grandpa, papaw, actually. Technically, it's papaw. And Nana. And I can tell you this, I'm so glad I've done it this way. I'm not saying I'm better than you. You should do it like me. I'm just saying I'm a 7. I get the impulse of like, what else is out there? What am I missing? I'm so glad that I didn't do my primary relationship like that. I may have done a couple of jobs. I may have left jobs too soon. I probably have. I can say that. I can be honest about that. I probably got frustrated and discouraged with stuff that it didn't feel pleasant, but it was just a job. And a job sometimes feels like a job. And so, especially in my younger years, I probably left too soon and wanted to go somewhere else. But I'm so glad that I haven't done that in my one-on-one relationship, in my marriage. Because we've been able to build something that is good. We've been able to build something that is real. We've been able to build something that, it hasn't always been easy. I'm not always an easy person to be around. I know you guys can't believe that. But I'm not always an easy person to be married to. And everybody's got their challenges, right? Every relationship has its challenges. Don't feel like because you guys have conflict that there's something wrong with you. It's not that you have conflict, it's how you manage the conflict. Every couple, no matter how much you love each other, is going to have their challenges. And we've had some special needs kids that have had a little extra needs. Okay? It's in the definition of special needs. And we've had some challenges. But we've made it through all those challenges. We've made it through them. We have stuck together. We have stayed faithful to each other. We've stayed faithful to the important things in life. And I'm just saying I'm glad. I'm just saying I'm grateful. I'm grateful because I think that tendency to always move on too soon could really create some long-term problems in life. If you wanted to have the happiest life, let's just say it that way. If your goal really is to experience life to the fullest, you're a 7, so you want to live with passion. That's my Tony Robbins, right? I think Tony Robbins is a 7. He's a 3, Tom. Whatever. I think his tri-type is probably 731. But whatever, whether he's a 7 or a 3, his goal is to live with passion. If your goal is to live the most fulfilling, full, rich life possible, is changing partners every 3 years the best way to do that? Solomon. I think Solomon from the Bible was probably a 7. Is that the best? Is that the best way to find the most fulfilling life? I don't think so. I think my wife and I have built something wonderful. Great kids, not perfect, great kids, grandkids, and I'm enjoying this stage of my life. I loved 35. I thought 35 was great. Honestly, 30 was hard because I felt like, oh no, I'm an old person. But 35, it was like, I feel good. All my kids are at home. I have a great career. I'm going through school. It was a great time. And I remember thinking, I wish I could lock that time in. But I can't. I can't lock into 35 years old. I can't. Now I'm 53. It won't be long until I'm 73. But I'm enjoying this stage in life. Yeah, the aches and pains, they're starting. For sure. And my parents are gone. I'm going to get sad here. This is what happens to 7s is we start talking, we start thinking, we start slowing down, we start feeling stuff. This is the way it works for 7s. Sometimes we don't realize how much pain and baggage we're carrying around until we start to slow down and think about it and talk about it. That's maybe one of the reasons that keeps us from slowing down, is we don't want to feel that stuff. So we keep looking for the shiny next object, the shiny new vacation, the shiny new relationship, only to find out that every person we end up with is like furniture from IKEA. It's got to be put together. And when you get tired of putting it together, what do? You put it in the box and you say, I'm done with this. I'm done with this. I'm taking it back. I don't like it. I'm going to get a different one, only to realize that this new relationship has to be put together as well. And if you can't sit through the difficulties of relationship challenges, you can't sit through the difficulties of work challenges, you're going to be hopping and skipping through life and maybe get to 50 or 60 or 70 and wonder, where's all my people? Like, well, you haven't been committed. You haven't been committed at work. So your work is not committed to you. You haven't been committed to a wife or to a husband. So they're not committed. They're not here. Your kids are not here. You're alone. And that doesn't seem like the best way to end up with a happy life. And look, I'm not trying to bring you down. I'm certainly not trying to preach at you. Because if you are alone, look, my heart goes out to you. There's nothing worse than being alone. And you can be surrounded by people, right? You could be surrounded by people and still feel very alone. And I just want you to know, at the end of the day, this is kind of why I'm a pastor and not a counselor primarily, is you're never really alone. You're never really alone. I mean, God is always with you, whether you want him to be or not. He's always there. And, if you would reach out, not only to God, but also to maybe others, maybe there are some people around you who could be there for you. I don't want you to be alone. Let's end here. Getting too serious. Ugh. Okay, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Keep on going to the next step. Don't get stuck. Move forward. Be resilient. Be mindful. Stay positive. All those people that, back in high school that wrote in my yearbook, I just want you to know I'm trying my hardest to stay cool. And so I want you to as well. Stay cool. All right, guys. I'll see you next time. Be present to life. Take care.